I found a hidden room behind my basement wall. Now I can't leave the house. I bought the house thinking I got a great deal. It was a foreclosure in rural Pennsylvania. The kind of house that looked like it hadn't seen laughter or light in decades. The listing said, "Minor repairs needed." What they meant was, the basement reeked of rot. The attic was home to more spiders than a rainforest, and every time you stepped on the third stair, it sounded like someone whispering, "Don't." I should have walked away, but I needed to start over. And when you've just lost your job, your girlfriend, and most of your sanity, $42,000 0 cents for a 2-story fixer-upper sounds like a gift. On the first night, while hauling paint cans down to the basement, I heard something that froze me mid-step. Knock, knock. Not like a pipe settling, not like something falling. It was deliberate. 2 sharp knocks from inside the wall. I stood there for what felt like a full minute. Then, trying to convince myself I imagined it, I turned the radio on loud and kept working. But the next day, it happened again. This time while I was installing shelves. Knock, knock. Always the same wall. The one on the far side of the basement, behind the water heater, a part of the house that didn't match the floor plan. That night, I ran my fingers across the cold concrete and noticed something weird. A thin line, nearly invisible, running down the middle like the outline of a door frame. Sealed shut with old mortar. And then I found it. A handle, rusty, hidden under a loose piece of drywall, but definitely a handle. I told myself not to open it. I opened it anyway. Inside was a room that shouldn't exist. No windows, no light, just old wooden walls, a cot, a rusted chair, and hundreds of scribbled pages nailed to the walls. Every single one read, "Don't let it out." And that's when I heard the knock again, this time from behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly slipped on the basement floor. There was nothing behind me, just the staircase leading up and the flickering basement bulb, swinging like it had been disturbed. No wind, no movement, but that sound, that knock, was inside the room with me this time. I turned back to face the hidden chamber, shining my phone's flashlight across the room again. The pages still clung to the walls. The chair, the cot, the rusted nails, everything was as it had been, except there was now a new paper on the floor. It hadn't been there before. It was curled slightly, the ink fresh. "Close the door before it sees you." My blood went cold. I didn't write that. No one else was in the house. That's when I felt the shift in air. Cold. Still. Heavy. You know how a room feels after something just left? That lingering tension like the walls are still holding their breath? That's what it felt like. I backed out of the chamber slowly and slammed the hidden door shut, resealing it with a toolbox in front for good measure. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the old house sounded louder. Every shadow in the hallway stretched just a bit too far. By 4 a.m. I gave up on sleep and started researching. I scoured the web for anything about my address. Newspaper archives, crime reports, real estate records, and finally buried in a 1992 obituary, I found a name. Walter Litchfield. The article was short. He had died in the house, but what caught my eye was the quote from a neighbor. He kept saying the house was watching him, said he couldn't sleep because the walls were whispering. I just thought he was losing it after his son disappeared. That word "disappeared" hit me like a punch. I dug deeper. Turns out his son vanished in 1989. No body, no evidence. Just one morning gone from his bedroom. Police suspected he ran away, but Walter insisted the house took him. I didn't know what the hell that meant until the next night. It was 2:13 a.m. when I woke up gasping, my mouth dry, chest tight, heart racing like I'd been underwater. I couldn't move at first. Sleep paralysis? Maybe. But it didn't feel like a dream. Something had been leaning over me. I could feel its weight on the bed. A presence. Watching. Then, I heard it. A whisper. Right next to my ear. "You opened the door." I bolted upright, sweat pouring down my neck. No one was there. But on the bedroom wall was a new message. written in thick black marker across my mirror. It's not in the basement anymore. The next morning I checked every inch of the house. Doors locked, windows sealed, nothing had been stolen, but something had changed. The air felt heavier, like the atmosphere had been replaced with pressure. I considered leaving, just grabbing my keys and never looking back, but every time I reached for the front door, I hesitated. Not out of fear, out of the sick feeling that it was waiting on the other side. Like if I opened the front door, I wouldn't be stepping outside, I'd be stepping into something else. I know how insane that sounds, but sometimes you can feel when a place changes. When it isn't just haunted, but hungry. That afternoon I went back to the basement. I had to see if the hidden door was still sealed, if that room was even still there. But when I reached the wall, I stopped cold. The wall had changed. There was no handle, no outline, no hidden door. It was now just a blank wall, like the room had never existed, or worse, like it had moved. That night, the voices came, not whispers anymore, full sentences. Some were behind the walls, some were right in my ear. I started recording them on my phone. Here's what they said. You fed it. It's learning you. You'll never leave. The door opened 2 ways. I played the audio back the next morning and nearly threw my phone across the room. Because when I reversed one of the clips, it clearly said, "Look under the stairs." I didn't want to. Every bone in my body screamed no. But you know what it's like when fear and curiosity start feeding off each other. You can't stop yourself. So I went down, I moved the boxes, cleared the dust, and there, carved into the underside of the staircase in jagged handwriting, "It's inside the walls now. It's wearing his fate." I didn't understand it until I checked the old attic later that night just to make sure nothing had crept up there, and I saw someone standing in the far corner facing the wall, unmoving. It looked like me. I froze at the top of the attic stairs. It was standing with its back to me, shoulders slumped, head tilted ever so slightly to the left, the exact way I stand when I'm deep in thought. The same flannel shirt I wore 2 nights ago, same faded jeans, same messy, unkempt hair. It was me. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stared, phone flashlight trembling in my hand, the beam bouncing slightly across the walls. For a moment, I thought maybe it was a mirror, maybe some trick of shadows, maybe I was seeing myself in reflection from a piece of broken glass. Then it turned its head, not the whole body, just the head, rotating slowly over its shoulder in a way no human neck should move, like it was made of something soft inside, like it had to stretch. And then it smiled, that sick, wide, unnatural smile, my smile, but twisted, too many teeth, too still. The lips didn't even twitch. I slammed the attic door and ran downstairs, heart punching my ribs, legs threatening to give out beneath me. I didn't stop until I was back in the living room, lights all on, every corner illuminated. It took hours for my heart to settle, and even then, I didn't sleep. I sat there in silence, watching the hallway, phone clutched in both hands like it could somehow save me. That thing upstairs, it wasn't just mimicking me. It was practicing. The next day, I tried to leave, keys, jacket out the door. But the second I stepped outside, it was like I'd walked into concrete. My feet wouldn't move. My chest locked up. A pressure like the air itself had turned solid. I backed up and slammed the door. The moment it closed behind me, I felt the grip release, like something let go. I was trapped. Not physically. The locks weren't engaged, the hallway wasn't blocked, but something invisible had wrapped around the house, like a net made of fear, and I couldn't cross it. I began to spiral. I ripped open the basement again, tore at the drywall, clawed through insulation, desperate to find that hidden room, but it was gone. Wiped clean, not even a dent in the floor where the cot had been, like the house had swallowed it back into itself. Every night since, the thing comes closer. One night I saw it standing at the bottom of the stairs. Another, just outside my bedroom door. It never moves while I'm watching. It just stands, pretending, learning. Sometimes it mouths words, silent sentences, rehearsing me. Then came the voicemail. I'd been too scared to answer calls. Friends had been trying to reach me, concerned I wasn't replying to messages. But I wasn't ready to explain this. Still, one voicemail came through, from my old college friend, Mike. It started normal. "Hey man, just checking in, haven't heard from you in a while." Then there was static, loud, aggressive static, like something was pressing its face too close to the microphone. And then a voice. But it wasn't the recording. It was recent. "I'm fine, everything's fine, just a little under the weather." I never said that. The timestamp was from that morning, while I was asleep. Something had answered in my place. I checked every device, reset passwords, powered off my phone, and that night I dreamed of the basement again, only this time I wasn't in the dream, I was watching it. From the corner of the room, as something wearing my face stood over a cot, whispering to the walls. When I woke, I was lying on my basement floor, fully dressed. No memory of how I got there. Something is changing. I can feel it. The thing pretending to be me, it's not just imitating anymore. It's replacing. The scariest part? No one has noticed yet. My friend Mike? He thinks we talked on the phone yesterday. My editor swears I submitted a draft last night. My neighbor waved at me through the window this morning. But I haven't left this couch in days. Whatever is out there is already wearing my life. And the house? It's helping it. It wants me to fade. It wants this thing to take over completely. So now I sit here, writing this all down, not as a cry for help, but as evidence. Because I know soon, I won't be the one inside this body anymore. I used to be afraid of the dark. Now I'm afraid of the light. Because that's when I see what it's done to me. The thing inside this house. It's rewriting me. Not all at once, not like a possession. It's slower, smarter. Like it's peeling off who I am in layers, while it replaces each one with something nearly perfect, but not quite. This morning, I went to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and for the first time, I didn't recognize myself. My face was the same eyes, same jawline, same patchy stubble I hadn't shaved in days, but something behind the eyes was gone, like the feeling of me had been drained. Pixel by pixel, leaving behind only the image. I reached out and touched the glass. My reflection didn't move. Not right away. It waited, watched. Then it tilted its head. Opposite of mine, I stepped back, heart hammering. But the reflection didn't copy. It just stared. And then it smiled, with a mouth that was too wide, and whispered. Not much longer now. I smashed the mirror, but the voice didn't stop. The house has gone quiet. Too quiet. No creaks, no plumbing noise, not even the hum of the refrigerator. It's like the house is holding its breath, waiting for something. I checked the windows. Every one of them now shows a different sky. Some are dark, like midnight. Others show a gray, endless storm. One just shows my backyard. But the trees are swaying in the wrong direction, against the wind. Time is unraveling here, and I'm losing myself with it. Last night I recorded myself sleeping. I wanted proof that I wasn't dreaming all this, that something truly was moving while I wasn't. I left my phone on the nightstand, camera pointed at me. This morning I watched the footage. The first 2 hours, silence. Normal restlessness. Then, something climbed into bed beside me. At first just the shape of a man in the darkness, crouching at the edge of the mattress. Then slowly it slithered in under the covers. It didn't wake me. I didn't move. But the thing looked right at the camera, stared into it, and then whispered, in my exact voice, "He's dreaming of freedom, but I already have the key." Then it smiled, and covered the lens with its hand. I haven't left my bedroom since. Food has rotted in the fridge, my phone battery died yesterday, I haven't charged it. I'm terrified of going downstairs, terrified that if I go down there, I won't come back up. The basement feels like a mouth now, and I've already stepped onto the tongue. There are knocks every hour. Always two knocks. Sharp. Heavy. Like knuckles against concrete. Sometimes it's from the closet, sometimes under the floorboards. Once, from inside the wall behind my headboard. I tried to scream. I thought maybe if someone heard me, a neighbor, a jogger, anyone, I could be rescued. But when I opened my mouth, the sound didn't come out. Something else did. A second voice. Mine, but distorted, hollow, like it had been recorded and played back at the wrong speed. It said, "Quiet now, I'm almost finished," and then I passed out. When I woke up, I was in a different room, one I've never seen before. Stone walls, flickering light, no windows. It looked ancient, like a cellar from another century. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even scream. And then a door opened in the darkness, and I saw it. Me. The thing wearing my skin. It looked cleaner, brighter, like it had rehearsed being human and finally got it right. It waved at me and said, "You can stay. I'll take care of everything up there." And then the door slammed shut. I blinked and I was back in my bed. Back in my house. Back where I started. But something had changed. I was wearing different clothes, a shirt I don't own, shoes I've never bought, and on my nightstand was a set of car keys to a car I don't drive. I checked the hallway mirror again, and the man looking back wasn't me anymore. There's a car in the driveway now, a black sedan I've never seen before. Its windows are tinted pitch black. I checked the keys I found on the nightstand. They match. I even pressed the unlock button and heard the familiar beep, but I haven't left the house in 3 days. I don't even remember hearing the engine. I opened the door to the front porch just to look, and I saw him, sitting in the driver's seat, wearing my face. I slammed the door shut and locked it. That thing. The double. He's not some hallucination, not a dream. He's real. I saw the same scar on his right cheek I got in high school. Same uneven stubble. Same cracked front tooth from that fight in college. But he was perfectly calm, just drumming his fingers on the steering wheel like he had nowhere to be. He saw me watching, he smiled. And he waved, like we were friends, like this was normal. I've stopped turning on the lights in the house. Every time I do, the shadows seem to move differently, like they notice. I swear they gather in corners now. I saw one of them stretch toward me yesterday, like a hand made of smoke. I live in the dark now, only candles, but even those flicker when I think about leaving. Last night, I blacked out again. No alcohol, no meds, just standing in the kitchen and then gone. I woke up outside, on the lawn, naked. The front door was locked behind me and my house keys were nowhere to be found. The worst part? The lights were on. Every light in the house. And I could see myself moving inside, me, making coffee, checking my phone, stretching, as if this was just any other morning. He didn't look at me once. Not until I screamed. The version of me inside the house turned to the window. He smiled, and he mouthed the words, "I'm doing better than you ever did." Then he walked, out of view. It took me 3 hours to break back into my own house. I had to smash the tiny window in the laundry room, crawl through the broken glass, and pull myself into the hallway. There was no sign of the double anymore. But my phone was gone along with the strange clothes and keys. The car in the driveway was missing too. For a second I thought maybe I imagined it. Then I opened the fridge. It was full of groceries I didn't buy, brand names I never eat. And stacked on the counter was mail, addressed to my name but with a completely different handwriting. I think he's been living as me. Not just copying, replacing. I started checking everything. Emails had been sent that I didn't write. My online banking showed charges to places I'd never been. Someone even changed my social media profile picture to a smiling photo I don't remember taking, standing in front of that same black car, grinning like a maniac. I thought about calling the police, but what would I even say? "Hi, I think a copy of me crawled out of a hidden room in my basement and stole my life. Could you come take a look?" No, they'd lock me up, or worse, they'd believe him. I had to go back into the basement. I didn't want to. Every cell in my body screamed not to. But I needed answers. I needed to know what was behind that wall, what this thing was and how to stop it. So I waited until nightfall, lit a lantern, and went down. The air changed as I descended. It got colder. Still. Like the entire basement had sunk beneath the world and was breathing on its own. I stepped toward the hidden door behind the water heater. It was open. I never left it open. I entered slowly. The cot was still there, the rusted chair, but the papers on the wall had changed. Now they read, "He's the original. He locked me down here. I was you first. Hundreds of them, all scratched in the same handwriting, mine, all nailed and stapled in frantic, overlapping layers like someone was trying to scream a truth through paper." I stumbled backward in horror. That's when I heard the voice again, right behind me. "Welcome back." Welcome back. His voice was wrong, not just a mimic, not even a good impression. It was me, yes, but hollow, like my voice played through a badly tuned speaker. There was emotion, but it wasn't mine. There was a smile behind it, but no warmth, only mockery. I turned. He stood in the doorway of the hidden room. His silhouette blocked the faint basement light behind him. He looked normal, like me. Right height, right clothes, even the damn birthmark on my neck. But his eyes, they weren't mine. They were wider, too wide, as if he'd seen things I hadn't, and loved every second of it. He stepped inside. "You figured it out quicker than the others. That's good." "The others?" I choked. "What the hell are you talking about?" He grinned. "You don't think you're the first, do you?" I backed away until my shoulder hit the cot behind me. The pages on the wall crinkled in the airless silence, like dry leaves whispering truth. "He locked me down here. I was you first. Was it true? Had someone else lived here? Been replaced? Was this me, the imposter? Or had he done it to others before me?" I tried to keep my voice steady. "What are you?" He tilted his head. "That's not the right question." "Then what is?" "The right question," he said, stepping closer, "is how long you'll last before you let me back in." I lunged, not because I had a plan, just panic, but as soon as I grabbed him, my hands burned, literally burned, like touching a hot stove. He didn't fight back. He watched with satisfaction. "You still think this is physical," he whispered. I staggered back, gasping. My palms were red, skin blistering. He brushed dust off his shirt like I was an annoyance, then turned to the wall and tapped on one of the pages. "You see these?" He dragged a finger across one. "Every copy leaves a warning. Every original loses their mind. Eventually," he smiled, "you'll let me in. You won't even realize it." I ran, up the stairs, through the kitchen, locked myself in the bathroom and splashed water on my face like that could erase what I'd seen. The skin on my hands was still raw. I wrapped them in gauze. Outside, the driveway was empty again, for now. That night, I tried to sleep. Didn't happen. At 3:17 a.m., my bedroom light flicked on by itself. Then the hallway light. Then the kitchen. One by one, like someone walking through my home in slow, steady steps. I crept out with a baseball bat. The air was ice cold, every bulb was glowing, but no one was there. Only a note on the kitchen table, scrawled in my handwriting. "You locked me in once. I'm returning the favor. You'll stay now. Until I'm ready to leave." I tried the front door. Deadbolted. The windows, sealed shut. Even the basement entrance was bricked over on the inside. Like the house had sealed itself while I wasn't looking. I was trapped. And on the ceiling above me, a new message had been scratched into the paint. "The rules have started." I spent the next day testing the house. Every exit was gone, not blocked, erased. I called for help, but my phone was dead. Landline buzzed like a broken radio. The TV only played static. Worse, every mirror in the house had changed, no reflection. Only him, standing in my place, watching me with that same too-wide grin. By nightfall, the whispers started again. Low, male, familiar. "He's not ready yet. Don't rush it this time. Let him rot a little first." I slept in the living room with the lights on. But I didn't rest, not really. Somewhere around 5 a.m. I heard the front door creak open. I rushed to it, but there was no door. Only a wall, a fresh wall of bricks, where my door used to be, painted the exact same color, but dripping with wet mortar, and a note embedded in the center brick. One sentence. Do you remember what you did to the first one? I stared at the brick wall where the front door had been. Mortar still glistened like it was freshly sealed. My skin crawled as I touched it. Warm. Alive. That note embedded in the center? Do you remember what you did to the first one? No, I didn't remember anything like that. Unless... They weren't talking about me, unless there was someone before me. I ran back to the basement. There had to be something I missed. The secret room hadn't changed. Same cot, same chair, same walls covered in scrawled pages. Hundreds of them. But in the corner, near the baseboard, buried under a layer of fallen paper, I saw something new. A box, small, wood, locked with an old brass latch. I pried it open. Inside was a stack of Polaroids, old ones, the kind you had to shake. Each photo showed a man sitting in this very room. Same clothes, same build, same face, mine, but they were not me. In one photo he looked confused, in another he was screaming at the lens, and in the last one, he just sat there, head down, motionless. On the back of that final photo was a single word written in smeared ink: failure. I dropped it, stumbled back. My hand started to tingle, then burn. The pages on the walls rustled again, though the air was still. A faint whisper threaded through the room. You did this. You let him out. No, I muttered. That wasn't me. I just got here. But deep inside, some part of me knew that wasn't true. I'd been drawn to this house. It wasn't random. I hadn't found it. It had called to me. I ran to the attic. If there was anything this house hadn't twisted yet, it had to be up there. I cracked the trap door open. Dust choked the air. The attic smelled like rust, wood rot, and something sharper. Coppery, metallic, like blood. As I climbed up, my foot knocked over a glass jar. It rolled to the edge and shattered. Inside was a molar, a human tooth, and behind a loose wall panel, I found them. Tapes. Dozens of them, each labeled with a date. The oldest was from 1994. I grabbed the one marked April 2nd, 2006. The year I turned 15, and jammed it into the old camcorder sitting nearby. The footage flickered to life. A boy sat in the basement, same room. Same pages, crying. Please, he begged the camera. I'm not him. I don't know why I'm here. He said, I'm the replacement. He said I was chosen. The boy looked straight into the limbs. Straight into me. If you're watching this, he said, you already know. You can't leave until you feed it. The screen went black. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I blinked, I saw the boy, saw the chair, the pages, the message on the wall. Don't let it out. And worst of all, I remembered something. A flash. Me. As a teenager, waking up in a room I didn't recognize, a door slamming shut, a voice that sounded exactly like mine, whispering, Don't worry, I'm just borrowing your life. I had been here before. Some version of me had been trapped, and now I was the one on the outside, or had been, until I opened the wall, until I let him back in. The next morning, every mirror in the house showed something different, not my reflection, but him, standing behind me, closer each time, smiling wider. I tried breaking through the basement wall with a hammer. It cracked, but behind it was more concrete, then rebar, then bone. I'm not kidding. Human bone, cemented into the foundation. The house wasn't just haunted, it was built on them, on us. The whispers got worse that night. I couldn't tell if they were in my head anymore. They spoke in riddles. It always ends where it begins. One escapes, one replaces, balance must be kept. Then I saw the lights flicker, all at once, not like power failure, like the house was breathing, and from the secret room below, I heard it, the sound that started it all. Knock, knock. Only this time, it didn't come from the wall. It came from inside the house. From upstairs. The knock came again. 2 sharp raps. Not loud, but confident. Too human. It came from the second floor. I stood frozen in the living room, heart pounding, staring at the ceiling. The old wood creaked above me like someone shifting their weight slowly from one foot to the other. Then, another knock. But now it was from the hall closet behind me. I spun, empty, until I blinked, and saw it. A handprint on the inside of the closet door from the inside. Pressed in, like something had been clawing to get out. It was still warm. I needed air. I sprinted to the boarded-up windows, trying to pry the nails loose, but every single one was fused to the wood, like it had been welded. The moment I stopped, I heard a breath behind me. Not mine, then a voice, raspy, guttural, low. "He's in your skin now." I lost it, ran up the stairs 2 at a time, ready to tear the house apart if I had to. Every step felt like it was sinking, like the wood was turning soft, like the house didn't want me going up. I ignored it. At the top of the stairs was the guest room door, slightly ajar. That's where the knock came from. I knew it. I pushed it open slowly. The room looked untouched, except for the bed. Someone had been sleeping there. Indent in the mattress, warmth in the blanket, and next to the pillow, a wallet. My wallet, but older, weathered, different photo, same name. Inside was a driver's license. Name, me. Issued, 2011. Expiration, 2015. Except I didn't get my license until 2014. This wasn't mine, but it was me. On the wall across the room was a message scrawled in ink. Dripping. Fresh. Only one can live in the body at a time. That's when I heard the door downstairs open. The front door. It shouldn't even exist anymore. It had been bricked shut. I peeked out the guest room window. The front yard was back. Grass. Sidewalk. Mailbox. And walking up the path, me. Same face. Same clothes. Different posture. Confident. Relaxed. Like someone who knew they belonged here. I watched as he walked into the house. I heard the stairs creak again. He was coming up. I backed into the corner, barely able to breathe. My heart wasn't just racing. It felt like it was being shared. Each beat was slightly out of sync, like something else was using my body at the same time. Then, the footsteps stopped. Outside the door, and I heard my own voice say, "You're the replacement just like I was." The doorknob turned. I grabbed a lamp and stood my ground. The door opened, and there he stood, smiling, but not in a friendly way, not even a sinister way. It was worse than that. It was pity. "You lasted longer than the others," he said. I raised the lamp. He didn't flinch. "It's okay," he whispered. "When it's your time again, you'll come back. We always do." I swung. Hard. But it passed through him like smoke. He stepped forward. My knees buckled. His hand touched my chest, and suddenly my whole body burned. The house around me shifted, like it breathed in and I was the air. The windows vanished. The front yard disappeared. And then he was gone. I woke up hours later, or maybe days, back in the secret room behind the basement wall. The door was sealed, the cot was mine now, and the pages were blank, except for one pinned to the ceiling above me. "You are the first one again." I stopped keeping track of time after the 3rd day, if it was even days. There was no sun here, no clock, just the hum of the walls and the weight of knowing that someone else was living my life upstairs. Every few hours I'd hear footsteps above me, sometimes laughing, sometimes pacing. Once I heard my own voice, talking on the phone to my mother. "Yeah, the house is great, Mom. Finally feels like home." It made me scream until my throat went raw. But no one came. Then, on what I think was the 5th night, I found something under the cot. A crack in the floor. I pried it open with a piece of rusted metal from the bed frame. Underneath was a tiny tunnel barely big enough to crawl through. I didn't think. I just went. The tunnel twisted and turned like intestines. Walls warm and moist, like I was crawling through a living creature. Every few feet I'd find scratches in the dirt, and symbols. Ones I didn't understand but recognized from the pages that used to be nailed to the walls. I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't be the last. The tunnel spat me out into a small chamber, round, wet, and lit by a single hanging bulb that flickered like it was gasping for life. In the middle was a figure, sitting, rotting, but still moving. It looked like me, or a version of me, with half its skull caved in and eyes like dried fruit. He looked up. "They let me go once," he rasped. "But I came back. They always come back." "Who?" I asked. He just pointed upward. The ceiling pulsed like skin. That's when I saw them, carved into the meat-like walls around the chamber. Names. Dozens of names, all with one thing in common. My last name. Some had first names like Thomas or Daniel. One even said Theo, 1903. Every 20 to 30 years someone with my bloodline ended up here. But I was different. I wasn't pulled in by accident. I broke into the room. I let it out, which meant I might be able to put it back. I asked the rotting version of me one last question. "What is it?" He looked past me and whispered, "You'll see." Then he smiled as his body collapsed into dust. I found a ladder on the far side of the chamber. It led up, back into the house. But the house was different now. As I climbed out into the basement, I noticed the walls were softer, sagging, breathing. Every step I took left a print, like I was walking across damp flesh. The house wasn't possessed. The house was the entity, and it wore us, people, like outfits. I reached the living room. It was pitch black except for a faint glow at the top of the stairs. He was there, the one who'd taken my place, sitting on the couch calmly drinking tea and humming my favorite song. I stepped forward, and the floorboards screamed. He turned, smiling, again with that pity in his eyes. "I told you, we always come back." This time I didn't run. I faced him. "What is this place?" I asked. He set down the cup gently. "It's not a place. It's a test, a filter. It chooses who's strong enough to leave." I looked around. "And if I pass, then you get out." He stood up and pointed to the door. "Only one of us can walk through." I stared at him. This imposter wearing my voice, my face, my memories, like a suit of skin. Only now I could see the difference. The longer I looked, the more his features began to slip. His eyes were too wide, his mouth hung slightly crooked, like it had been stitched on in a hurry. His hands were backward, and yet he moved with perfect confidence. Like he knew he had already won. "You want out?" he said. "You'll have to earn it." He backed toward the front door. Then something clicked. The living room began to shift. The furniture liquefied. The walls pulsed like lungs. The air smelled of copper, mold, and rot. This wasn't just the house being alive. The house was watching, and it wanted a show. Suddenly I was flung across the room. My back hit the fireplace, and I gasped as the wind was knocked out of me. The imposter was on me in seconds, his hands around my throat, grinning like a maniac. "Do you think you're the first to try?" he hissed. "They all fail. You break, you beg, and then you become me." I clawed at his face, my own face, and screamed, "Not this time!" My fingers caught his cheek and ripped. Skin peeled away like latex. Beneath it was something black, wet, crawling with dozens of tiny teeth. I staggered back in horror. He laughed. "You're starting to understand. The house doesn't need walls. It needs us, hosts, echoes." I grabbed the rusted fireplace poker. "Then maybe it's time to evict you." We fought like animals. I stabbed. He bit. I broke a chair across his back. He threw me into the piano. Blood soaked into the walls, and the house groaned with pleasure. It wanted chaos. It fed on it. But something changed the moment I stopped reacting. When I stopped fighting back, when I just stood there, watching him lunge at me with that grotesque grin and whispered, "I'm not afraid of you anymore." He froze. So did the house. Everything around me quivered, like reality itself was unsure what to do next. Then the lights began to flicker. The imposter's face melted. His mouth opened wide in a silent scream, and the house screamed with him. The floor cracked open. A pit of blackness yawned beneath his feet. He tried to grab me. His fingers dug into my arm, but I drove the fireplace poker straight through his hand. He let go, and the house swallowed him, screaming, twisting, melting into the void. Drink on. Then silence. Not just silence, but peace. The walls stopped pulsing. The room faded back to normal. The floorboards dried, the air cleared, and for the first time in what felt like eternity, the front door creaked open. Light poured in, real sunlight. I stepped outside. My feet hit grass. Wind hit my face. I was out. Really out. I dropped to my knees and sobbed. Across the street, someone was walking their dog. A car drove by. Life had gone on, like nothing had happened. I never went back. I told the bank to seize the property. I didn't care. I left everything behind, moved halfway across the country, changed my name, told no one what happened. But the story doesn't end there. Because yesterday, 2 years later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photograph of me standing in front of the house, smiling, holding the keys. On the back of the photo were just 5 words. "You never really left, Theo."